Shalom friends, welcome to this second video and lesson in the topic of an introductory guide to some basic books to help get started with learning more about Torah and Judaism. The purpose of these lessons is to introduce the new learner, the new student who is looking for a path to take in Torah, how to start and how to direct him or herself in his learning or her learning, so that one can progress from the early stages of learning to even more complex stages. In our first lesson, in our first Shear, we discussed all about the Tanakh and the revealed Torah, the Nevi'im, and the Ketuvim, which consist of the 5 books of Moses, the 8 books of the prophets, and the 11 works of the writings, like the Megillot, the various scrolls of Esther and Kohelet, Ecclesiastes, and the book of Song of Songs, etc., etc. We discussed all of these various books, and we said that these are the essential books that every single person needs to learn inside and out. We also gave a direction to take, and if you need any further information, please go through the lesson again. Now, originally what I had done is set up the lesson to be, it was quite a lengthy lesson, and it consisted of numerous books, and it was very lengthy. As a result of that, what I've done is I've separated the lesson into a number of segments of videos. And so this is now the second section within the first video that I did already. And so it seems to be that it's starting at a sudden point, but it's not actually. If you follow on from the first lesson, you'll see exactly how it follows on to the second lesson. In this lesson, we're going to learn more about the general hashkafa, the general overview and philosophy of what Judaism is all about. And I'm going to recommend a book that I really think is so vital to learn, and one should become familiar with it inside and out in order to acquaint oneself with what Judaism and Torah is really all about. We'll move on to a book that will help us to understand the mitzvot, the commandments that we're commanded to do. 613 commandments, we've all heard about it before. We're going to discuss it in more detail, and I'm going to make a recommendation of a wonderful book that I think that can help everybody to come to terms with at least what the basic mitzvot are in today's times as a minimum. And thereafter, in our lesson, we're going to be discussing the world of Halachah. And I'm going to recommend a number of wonderful, worthwhile books that I believe every Jew should take to heart and become thoroughly familiar with. Once the Jew is familiar with these works in Halachah, the world of Halachah, of Jewish law, will start to open in front of him or her, and of course, he'll be able to take his learning to whatever level he wants to. When we end off this particular lesson, I'm going to share a little bit more about another aspect which we're going to then work on in the next lesson. And from there onwards, I'll discuss another introduction as we progress in the next lesson afterwards. So I hope you'll enjoy this shiur, and as always, please feel free to be in touch with me and pay attention to all the points that I'm saying, and email me to discuss any matters of interest. I hope you enjoy the shiur, and I look forward to meeting you in the next video again. If you have missed the previous video, I've provided a link for it in the description, so please feel free to click on that link, watch that video first, and then take off from there and enjoy the video in front of you, and just enjoy it. I'm going to recommend what I would call perhaps the first valuable book to help us understand the nature of all Torah. So let's put things into perspective. I understand that there is a written Torah, but I don't understand what's going on in the world. How do I fit into the world? What is Torah? What is life? What is the body? What is the soul? I need more about what's going on. Well, there was a very great man who lived in the 18th century, 1707 to 1747, 46, whatever the year was. He was approximately 39 years old, 40 years old when he died. Rabbi Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, known as the Ramchal. You'll notice on my channel I have a number of shiurim, which I have explained some of the teachings of the Ramchal, Derech Hashem, a total classic. Now in the Derech Hashem, I'm just going to read you some of the chapter headings where we can understand more about what we'll learn. We'll learn things like the Creator, the purpose of creation, man, human responsibility, the spiritual realm. Then we'll learn about providence in general, man in this world, individual providence, Israel and the nations, how providence works, the system of providence, influence of the stars, details of providence. Then we'll learn about the soul, inspiration and prophecy. And I have this covered on my on my YouTube channel, I've actually done these shiurim, and you can listen to them if you wish. The soul and its influence, theurgy, inspiration and prophecy, the prophetic experience, Moses as a prophet, and then we learn about serving God, devotion in general, study of the Torah, love and fear of God, the Shema and its blessings, prayer, the order of the day, periodic observance, seasonal commandments, circumstantial observance, and blessings. So what we can, and then of course is the Ma'amar Ikarim at the end of the book, the essay on fundamentals, where he really takes all of this and he summarizes it into a number of chapters, and that you can see also on my YouTube, which I've gone through over there. Now, Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, of course, was a giant in Torah, and if you listen to my shiurim, I've told over his story many, many times already. The most important thing to know about him is he was a child prodigy and an expert in all areas of Torah. Even by the age of 13, he was completely fluent in all the written Torah, in all the oral Torah. He was fluent in the Kabbalistic works of the Ari, who had lived just shortly before he lived. And he was somewhat of a, you could call him, next to the rest of the world, somewhat of a rebellious type of a person. When I say rebellious, let me just let me confirm exactly what it is that I mean by that. I mean that he was so knowledgeable, so great, that he was so different to other people, that they saw him as being somebody rebellious. He lived just after the period of the false Messiah, Shabtai Tzvi, and because of that, when he came with his own way of teaching and his interest, especially in Kabbalah, in mysticism, so the rabbis were very objectionable against him, and they really put him into Chayim. They really excommunicated him. He made statements that he was learning Torah with an angel, with a Maggid. They didn't like these type of things. Here's another Shabtai Tzvi, get rid of him, and he had to flee from his home country of Italy. He ended up in Holland, and after being in Holland, he then moved to Israel, where he died in a plague, unfortunately, as I say, with his wife and his child at the young age of approximately 39, 40 years old, having, of course, mastered all of Torah and having revealed so much of the teachings of the Ramchal remain to this day. Many of these books are classics that the yeshiva system even use. And I would highly recommend that if you're looking, first of all, the two things here. If you're looking to get an introduction into the overview of Judaism, you're going to find it in this book. And if you're looking for an introduction of a very low level, I want to point that out, very low level but nice, smooth going of mysticism, you'll find some of the concepts discussed in this book. As you see, I've already detailed the different chapters, so you'll be able to, of course, learn all these things. So I'm putting this now as like number one book, basically, together with another book. Okay, another book I'm going to put as number one as well, with the 24 books of the Torah. Because without the 24 books of the Torah, there's nothing doing. So get the 24 books of the Torah, then start putting things into perspective by reading a book like the Derech Hashem. Okay, we're moving ahead now. And the next book I'm going to recommend for everybody is a simple book. It's called The Concise Book of Mitzvoth, written by the Chafetz Chayim. The Chafetz Chayim, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Kagan from Radin. And Rabbi Yisrael Meir Kagan from Radin lived from 1839 to 1933. He was an outstanding Torah sage, a great tzaddik. And he wrote many, many books. All of his books are classics. If you want to learn Torah, please learn the Torah of the Chafetz Chaim. It will keep you going to the rest of your life. And in this particular book that he wrote, he summarizes the practical mitzvahs that we keep today. So all you need to do, well, what do we do today? You say, what are the mitzvahs that we do today? What is the mitzvah? So you open up this book, and in a very brief way, as you see over here, the Chafetz Chaim details the different mitzvahs that we do. Everybody knows already by now 613 mitzvahs, 248 positive, 365 negative. But practically speaking, do we observe all those mitzvahs? No, we do not today. There is no Beis HaMikdash today, and as a result of that, we cannot keep all of these mitzvahs. So the Chafetz Chaim summarized for us the basic mitzvahs that we observe today, and it's a great book if you want to become quickly familiar with the basic mitzvahs of the Torah that we observe today. What will you gain from it? You will gain an understanding of the mitzvahs that we observe today. No more detail than that. Very simple, very easy to understand. Master a book like this because it's such a wonderful book. Small, easy to go through, and easy to understand. But now we're moving ahead. So where we going so far? We've got a general idea of Torah, the written Torah, beautiful. I've got a general idea of what life is all about, what God wants in the world, how he's designed the world, what's the purpose of creation type of thing. I've got all these ideas, the soul and the body and Israel, the nations. I've discussed everything about life. Now, we need to get into some serious learning. We need to know how to observe the mitzvahs. And for this, I recommend that you purchase, if you don't understand Hebrew, and that's okay, at a certain point in time, you will come to learn Hebrew and everything will be fantastic because you're going to grow, you're going to become greater, knowledgeable, etc. Get yourself a translation of the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, written by Rabbi Shlomo Ganzfried. Now, this particular book was translated by Rabbi Eliyahu, and it's a fantastic translation, and you'll get everything that you need from it. It is in 2 volumes, and it consists of a total of 221 chapters. Now, let's put that into perspective, of course. 365 days in the year, 221 chapters. Doesn't take a genius to work out. If you do 1 chapter a day, you'll finish the whole work of the essential laws of Judaism. You'll finish in less than a year. And if you do a chapter over 2 days, so you'll complete it in just over a year. So big deal, a year and something. You'll complete the entire work. Good. And do it again, and do it again, and do it again. Because here you will find the basic laws of what it means to be a Torah Jew, to observe Torah Judaism. Rabbi Shlomo Ganzfried, the author of this book, written in Hebrew of course, was a very great rabbi. He lived in Hungary, he was the Dayan over there, he was the rabbinical judge, and he lived from 1804 to 1886. Now put that in perspective, it's not so long ago. It seems like ages ago, but it's not so long ago. Now, Rabbi Shlomo Ganzfried was also a great authority in many other aspects of law, not just that he had compiled a work summarizing basically all areas of law. He was an expert in the laws of sofrut, of writing tefillin, mezuzot, and sifrei Torah. He was an expert in the laws of nida. He wrote a commentary on that. He wrote many, many other commentaries. He was a very, very great man. In this work of 221 chapters, Rabbi Shlomo Ganzfried takes us through the day-to-day activities of a Jew from the time that he's born and he wakes up in the morning until the time that he dies and he leaves this world. Let me just read you a few headings of the chapters just to make you aware of the type of laws you're going to be learning about if you're not already familiar. So chapter 1 deals with the laws pertaining to rising in the morning. Chapter 2, the laws pertaining to washing one's hands. You have to wash your hands in the morning. Once you wake up, there's a spirit of impurity that rests on the body. It needs to be removed. We do washing of the hands. Laws pertaining to the manner of dressing and walking. Yes, there are laws of how to dress, laws of how to walk. The laws pertaining to conducting oneself in the lavatory and reciting the Asher Yatzar Bracha, the Asher Yatzar blessing. We need to know how to behave when we go to the bathroom. The laws of the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch detail everything. Here we will find the laws of how to observe the festivals, how to observe the basic laws of kashrut, food, eating kosher food. We'll learn the laws of keeping the Sabbath day, the laws of sexual purity, etc. There are many, many laws which are discussed over here, and it is a primer. And I would say to you that if you're getting into your Judaism now and you want to progress, please become a master of this work. 221 chapters. This book should become your bedside book. Not that you leave it in the room with you every single night you go to sleep, but it's like or wherever you go. Here is my Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. It's going to help me to learn the basic laws. Having said that, I do want to point out that there is a certain criticism against the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, and people speak about it that when Rabbi Shlomo Ganzfried wrote his book, he included mostly like very strict opinions. And as a result of that, not everybody can deal with the way that he writes. And so at a later stage, in another Shear, I'll be happy to explain other works that are also beneficial. But I don't want to go off track because by the end of it, I'll have to introduce you to my entire library. And instead of the video being whatever, an hour long or an hour, 20 minutes, whatever it's going to take, the video will end up becoming 25 hours. So instead, what I'm doing is giving the briefest guide to what is necessary to learn. What you do is you take your 221 chapters and you begin to learn them day by day. Now, if you can't learn a whole chapter to complete it within the year, so learn even 5 halachot, 5 laws every day. Test yourself on it, make sure you know it well, ask somebody else to ask you questions, whatever it is. It's a fantastic work to learn. It gives you a general idea of Torah Judaism. If you find yourself stuck, something looks too strict to you, of course it will. Nobody says you have to keep the laws exactly according to the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. But nevertheless, if you find yourself in a situation, Rabbi, this looks far too strict, I can't do this. All right, send your question in to a competent, halachic, orthodox rabbi. Ask him, how do I deal with this? And the rabbi will, of course, advise you in the best possible manner. This halachah is for people who are on this level. This halachah is for people on that level. Don't worry about keeping it on this strict level. You'll be a little bit more lenient. It's okay. Other authorities say like this. He's not the final word in halachah. Yet, rest assured, if you fulfill his words, you are on track. You are doing the right thing. You are fulfilling halachah exactly as you should. And that is the world of halachah in general. In Judaism, there are many, many halachic works, countless halachic works, questions and answers. It spans thousands of books and commentaries again and again, one after the next, one bigger than the next, one this, whatever it is. Halakha is a very complex subject in Judaism. But we have to start somewhere, and that was the goal of this video. I want to give people the opportunity to start growing in their Yiddishkeit, in their Judaism. Where do I begin, Rabbi? Begin with the 5 books, carry on with the 24 books, move on to a book like Derech Hashem and understand more about Torah. Good? Now start working through halakha, because you know what? You cannot be a Jew if you are not fulfilling the laws of the Torah. And this book gives you a guide without going into the complexities of the world of halakha. I need to know what to do. How do I observe? How do I observe the Pesach festival? How do I observe the Rosh Hashanah festival? How do I observe the Sukkot festival? How do I know what's important about the laws of kashrut? How do I, Rabbi, what do I do? Tell me what to do. The Kitzur Shulchan Aruch tells you exactly what to do. When you're struggling, send your question in to a competent, orthodox, halachic authority. Please, friends, I want to point out to you, it is so important to be on the right track in Torah Judaism. The moment you take a leniency in the direction that you're going to end up off track. And if it's not you that ends up off track, it will be your child or your grandchild, and that's it. There's no more Torah Judaism. And basically what you've done to yourself is what was done to you, because if you're listening to the Shear and trying to get a start and you're wondering why you're in the situation you are, it is because the Torah wasn't taught to you when you were young, and it should have been. Why not? Well, the parents and the teachers didn't want to share this information. When you move across into other directions in Judaism, you will find that there are going to be numerous amounts of leniencies which will end up doing the same thing to you. It will take you off the track. Keep strong, keep onto a mainstream Jewish Orthodox approach, and you know that if you do that, you are on the correct direction as the Torah was given at Har Sinai on Mount Sinai and handed down generation to generation. This is the correct approach to take. Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, when you have a question, send it in, get an answer, put yourself on track, get yourself a rabbi, resolve all your doubts, and you'll be doing just fine. So this work, as you see over here, is fantastic. And now, it's 2 volumes, as I say. There are other translations as well. If you see another translation, you want to know more about it, please send me a message, and I probably am aware of the translation. I'll tell you if it's a good translation or what you should do. Perhaps you should get it, or if it's something that's out of the blue and I don't know about it, I'll just mention I don't know that translation. We move to another book that was compiled by Rabbi Gersion Appel. And you see it's called the Concise Code of Jewish Law. Now, it's also 2 volumes. This particular volume that I'm holding, volume 2, deals with the laws from the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch and traditional sources on the laws of prayer and religious observance of the Sabbath, as you see over here. Now, in the 2 volumes, which aren't really comprehensive in totality like the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch that we just looked at, you will find again a very practical guide to the laws that are discussed in the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. So this basically means that as you progress through here, you are going to see the laws as discussed in the Kitzur, together with some great practical examples. That's what I like about this book. It's got practical examples that help you and really put things into perspective. It's called The Concise Code of Jewish Law, written by Rabbi Gersion Appel. And I just think that both of these volumes, the one on Shabbos and the other volume number 1, which is more general, are both outstanding volumes. This is not the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch in its entirety, but consists of numerous sections that the author has taken out and given a practical value to it. It is a fantastic work that can be read again and again and again, as all these books should be read. You never stop learning. You know why? You don't take the book out from the library. You buy the book and you put it into your own library, because you are going to need to refer back to it again and again. You are going to need to learn it again and again. So this is just an extension of what I showed you, and I hope that helps as well. I know I'm going through this quite quickly. The reason, of course, is to give you a total guideline of everything as fast as I can, to give you an overview of the approach that I would take, and to give you the idea that there's something out there for me. I can find a book, I can start progressing in my learning, I can grow, and I know the direction to take. I know if I'm stuck, there's a rabbi who helped me. I know that if I can't understand it, there'll be another source somewhere that will explain it better, etc. That's what I want to get across in this lesson. Of course, when your learning increases, you might want to progress to the real Shulchan Aruch, not the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, not the abbreviated code of Jewish law, which essentially, by the way, is not actually abbreviated of what the Shulchan Aruch is. It's a work to itself. But it's called abbreviated because he takes all the main material and he writes about the material in a very brief way. So he calls it the abbreviated Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. He calls it the abbreviated Shulchan Aruch. But really, it's a work to itself. Now, when you advance a little bit more, you might wish to engage in the study of the Mishnah Berurah. You see over here, this is the Feldheim edition. I don't know what editions are currently available, but this is a translation. You can see over here, they did a fantastic job of it, where they put the Hebrew and the English and translation, so you can see exactly what's going on page by page. I also think it's a fantastic book. Of course, we want to learn it in the original, but for any reason you can't read it in the original, there are translations available. The Mishnah Berurah was written by, guess who? None other than the Chafetz Chayim, who we just mentioned a moment ago, who wrote the concise mitzvahs that we were speaking about. Now, the Chafetz Chayim also wrote an accomplished, fantastic work, which was a commentary on the first of the 4 sections of the Shulchan Aruch. Right? The Shulchan Aruch, Jewish law, is divided into 4 main sections. The first section is called Orach Chayim, the path of life. The second section is called Yoreh Deah, which means he shall teach knowledge. The third section is called Even HaEzer, which means the helping stone. And the fourth section is called Choshen Mishpat, which means the breastplate. In the first section of the Shulchan Aruch, consisting of 697 chapters, you will find all the daily laws that are applicable for everybody, including yourself, everybody in the world. Everybody needs to do this. Every Jew needs to know 697 chapters of 697 chapters. What you choose to learn afterwards, depending on how much time you've got left to learn these things, that's up to you. We can discuss it later. What should I learn? How should I learn? And so on. But everybody should become familiar with the whole Shulchan Aruch. The Chafetz Chaim realized that there were so many commentaries that were coming about that the average person couldn't understand what to do when he learnt this first section. And so therefore he compiled over a period of over 20 years. He compiled this fantastic work called the Mishnah Berurah. It is available in 6 main volumes and very comprehensive and discusses all that you need to know, discussing the Shulchan Aruch, what the Shulchan Aruch is. Shulchan Aruch says do this. The Mishnah Berurah explains practically how this comes out in today's times and what we do practically speaking. A fantastic work. As I say, you can even get an English translation today. Do go and buy it if you want to. But as I said before, do the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch first. And afterwards, when you're ready, work through Mishnah Berurah. Now you're growing. Now you're developing. You're progressing. Now you're going to start seeing a change in yourself. You'll realize what it's all about. You'll see the infinity of Torah. You'll see the greatness of Torah. You'll see how Torah encapsulates every part of our lives. From the time that we wake up in the morning, till the time we go to sleep at night, until we die, festivals, happy moments, sad moments, whatever it may be, everything is included in the laws of the Torah, and everything is included in the Torah. Just for interest's sake, we discussed the 4 sections of the Shulchan Aruch. I do want to point out that the other sections are as follows. Yoreh Deah discusses more about the ritual law of Judaism. You might find things like the laws of kashrut in Yoreh Deah, the laws of forbidden interest. It's forbidden to charge interest to a fellow Jew. You might find the laws of other kashrut issues. There are different types. There's shechting an animal, and there's the laws of salting the animal, and the laws of the blood, and the laws of eggs, and the laws of cleaning vegetables, and etc., etc. You're going to find all these laws in the great section known as Yeridea. When you move to the section of Even HaEzer, there you'll find sections dealing with marriage and divorce. This, you can see already that these are, when I say marriage and divorce, I don't mean your peace in your home, how to deal with peace in the home. I'm talking about the actual laws centered around marriage and the laws centered around divorce. So, and of course, Even HaEzer is the helping hand. You get married, hopefully, you have a wife who helps you. She's the helping hand. That's how we call it, the helping hand. And the second section, Yeridea, he teaches knowledge, is because all the laws that we're learning there are laws about knowledge. We need to know about things. It's extra. When one becomes a rabbi, one needs to learn a number of sections within the Yeridea to be tested on, and that's what gives him his smicha. Of course, he should be knowledgeable in all areas of Torah. In today's times, when we do a smicha test, it is usually on a number of sections in Yeridea, and that's the main focus. And it can take a year, it can take 2 years to learn just a few sections. All the more so how much time it takes to learn all the Shulchan Aruch. You can actually see, if I point upwards over there, you can see my Shulchan Aruch on that ledge over there just above. I'm not going to move the camera because it's in a good position. And above there, going across above my head, you can actually see the Tur, because the Tur is the first part of the Halachah that was written down. It actually consists of 23 major volumes over there, including the commentary of Rabbi Yosef Karo, known as the Beis Yosef, which then became the Shulchan Aruch later on. And this is a Shear for itself. I didn't want to get into this. And there's the Shulchan Aruch running across in 13 major volumes, with the text going from one side of the page to the other, as small as anything. You need a magnifying glass in order to read it sometimes. So there's a lot to learn there. The Torah is infinite. Please never imagine for a second that if you went to school and they said to you, the Torah, that you have the Torah. And so Moses and the Jewish people went down to Egypt, and then they went out and they were there and this and that. Fine. Hey guys, I know the Torah already, and it's not for me. You know, that's how people talk. Well, once you start to discover how infinite the Torah is, you realize it's for you. You realize there's a world of life in front of us here. And I'm only speaking about a few books. I'm speaking about a start. We're trying to get a start in our learning. Only after we get our start, we'll do another video. We'll speak about other books, and we'll move on to other areas of Torah. Now, I have, at this point in time, only mentioned books of Halachah, learning what's the law, and the books of the 5 books of the Torah, which in the 24 books, which is the essential Torah itself. What I haven't discussed yet is another section of Torah, and I think it's vitally important that we discuss this, because you need it as part of your menu. When you are learning Torah, you need different parts of Torah to help you to grow as a human being. Now, whereas you will gain from the history of Torah by reading the Tanakh, and whereas you will gain from the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch and to know what to do, one thing that you won't gain necessarily, unless you know how to focus on the different points, like the book of Mishnah, Proverbs, the book of Kohelet, these are all good examples, is another section of Torah which we're going to use a term which is called Mussar. Mussar is a dangerous word to use. I don't like using it. Mussar is related to the word Yisurim. Mussar, Yisurim. Is it the same root? Now, Yisurim refers to afflictions, punishments. So it almost sounds like when you're involved in Mussar, you're going to be involved in something that afflicts you. Now, to a certain degree, when one learns the Mussar, it does afflict one. But I want to point out here, if when you're learning it, you're finding yourself destroying yourself, I want to point out you are not learning it correctly. The point of the Mussar is to grow as a human being. When you read it, even though you might see something harsh, something difficult, it should just knock a person. It should just wake him up. And he should say to himself, whoa, yes, I need to improve myself as a person. How do I do it in this particular instance? Am I doing things the right way? Are my midot, are my attributes in life the correct attributes? Do I display happiness where I should? Do I display sadness where I should? Do I display sadness where I shouldn't? Am I being sad for a reason that's valid, or am I being sad because it's not correct to be sad and that's no good? So I'm trying to develop myself as a person. We're all developing ourselves as human beings as we go through life. If you're not, then you're not taking part of what life is all about. We are developing ourselves. We're becoming greater people. We are not just robots and observing the Torah's mitzvahs and studying the Torah. We are becoming real people. In essence, we must become the Torah itself. We become the Torah itself. We become walking Torahs. You see, a Sefer Torah, they do a Haknasa Sefer Torah. They bought a Sefer Torah. They went to the Sefer, he sold them a Sefer Torah, it took him a year to do, he got $50,000, he's now a millionaire, he can buy himself a mansion and a sports car with all the money that he made because the community said $50,000 for a Sefer Torah, that's ridiculous. So anyway, he got his $50,000, the Sefer, and he's taken care of for life. And now they take the Sefer Torah and they go under a canopy, under a chuppah, and they're doing a big dance, and everybody's dancing under the chuppah. Of course, sometimes the Sefer himself is not there for some reason. I've never understood it to this day. He's the fellow who should be in the front with the Sefer Torah in his hands, but everybody else has got the Sefer Torah. He's the one that did the hard work, and he, unfortunately, is not in the front. Anyway, they're all dancing with the Sefer Torah. Now, the Sefer Torah is moving about. How is the Sefer Torah moving about? Because somebody is holding the Sefer Torah. And now, because the person is dancing with the Sefer Torah is dancing herself, so to speak. That's only part of the deal. But the real deal is not that we're dancing with the Sefer Torah. Is that the Sefer Torah is penetrating into ourselves. And then we become the dancing Sefer Torah. Because we are the ones with the Sefer Torah inside us, we are the ones dancing. When we dance because we have absorbed all the words of Torah, we become the dancing Sefer Torah. That's who we are. That's what Torah must do to us. When we walk around, we are a walking Sefer Torah. We can recite the words of the Sefer Torah off by heart because we know them, and they penetrate into our being. That when we do an injection, they take an injection, the blood. They take the blood from us. You go to the nurse. They go to do a blood test, and when they draw out blood, all that comes out is Torah. This is exactly how we have to be. But how do we get there? Well, one thing for sure, we have to study Torah. The second thing is we need to work on ourselves as human beings. We need to become great human beings. This is the world of Mussar, and it is also the world of Chassidut, which we'll come to at another stage. But for this particular shiur, I'm only discussing the world of Mussar. Very briefly, I'll touch on Chassidut. So we've concluded now the second section of videos in the series of helping us to understand which books to learn as an order and a way to understand all of Torah and Judaism. We've touched upon the world of Mussar, and I'll probably bring this into the next lesson as well, so please don't be surprised if you see it repeated again. And thereafter we're going to learn in a lot more detail some wonderful works that will help us to improve our character traits. This is the world of Mussar, as we discussed at the end of the lesson. And I really just appreciate that you've watched this video, and I hope that you've got something out of it. If you have enjoyed the video, please do like the video by clicking on the like button below. Also the share button to share it with friends and family. Do feel free to put comments and whatever else. Subscribe to the channel and click on the bell button to be notified of future lessons. If you'd like to be in touch with me directly, just visit my website www.lovingkindness.co and send me an email from there, from the contact form, and let's be in touch about anything that you'd like to discuss. If you have any questions, if you'd like to set up a time to learn with me privately, and we can learn one-on-one, we can spend an hour in a book of your choice and progress in our Judaism. Don't forget, I'm also involved in teaching the world of Safrut, so if you'd like to learn how to write your own mezuzah or tefillin one day, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to set up a time where we can begin learning the laws of Safrut. Thanks for joining me. I look forward to the next shiur. I wish you everything of the best. Take care. Shalom, shalom. Bye-bye.